Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about short luteal phases, husbands triggering things for us, and being a nurse but still having a bit of a wacky menstrual cycle. Before I dive into today, I want to preface with a couple weeks ago, I did a full-on 1-2 hours or something. I sat down and I filmed a month's worth of these videos in one run, and I emailed you guys who submitted questions to the show and I said, I've recorded these and they'll be coming out in the coming weeks. Stay tuned. Lo and behold, I went to upload them and discovered that the audio did not work for those episodes. So I'm going back through and I have to kind of comb back through my emails and find those questions that I answered and re-answer them. So if after about a month you do not hear your promised answer, please hit me up and let me know so I can make it up to you. But I found the first 3 questions. I found them. So here we go. Lucy says, "Hi, I've been watching your videos and I have a question as someone who used to have HA but now has lasting effects, which are really getting me down. I have never been given professional advice on what to do because my healthcare providers are uneducated on HA. I had HA for half a year when I was 18, a few random periods, and then had another 3 months of no period again. When I first got HA, I was underweight and over-exercising. I put on some weight but was still underweight, BMI on the border of healthy, when I had my second round of HA. During these 2 years, I moved to uni and had a very active lifestyle, mainly cardio, gym workouts, and lots of walking. I went to the doctor and found I had low LH and iron deficiency anemia, but they never said I had HA and never gave me advice on anything similar to what you talk about on your channel. After gaining more weight and to what I am now, which is a BMI of about 20, I have resolved my anemia and LH is higher. However, my periods are extremely irregular and shorter than before all of my issues started. I used to have a 28 to 29 day cycle that lasted for 5 days. Now my period is every 40 to 60 days and about 3 days long and light. I exercise about 4 days a week and I still struggle at times with food restrictions. Although I do not have HA anymore, how should I change my lifestyle to return my menstrual cycle to normal? I'm a student nurse who works 12-hour shifts 3 days a week, so that is an additional stressor to add with 5:30 a.m. starts and lots of standing. Should I follow the same protocol as someone with HA of less exercise and 2,500 calories? Or can I exercise a bit more and not have to eat as much? I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I'm more at peace about my body image, so I don't mind if it results in weight gain. I just want to be healthy." Perfect. So there's actually so many things in here I want to touch on, and I'm probably going to miss one of them. But first of all, it sounds like, Lucy, you actually already know. You kind of have a gut feeling about your answer, which is you still have some restrictions going on. So if you're going to have some restrictions, but also be a nurse who has a long shift like that, you actually, not only do you need to have the same, quote, protocol as someone with the less exercise 2,500 calories thing, but you probably need to let go of the 2,500 calories thing and understand that it's likely that you need even more than that. So we actually work with a lot of nurses. 2 of the most common professions that we have, actually, I'm gonna make it 3. 3 of the most common professions we have as clientele are nurses, school teachers, and dietitians. And the nurses and school teachers, I think, have the most in common, where those jobs are full on physically and mentally, and you don't really get as many breaks as you want. While school teachers' shifts may look a little bit less intense, oftentimes school teachers do have really long hours because they don't have prep time outside of the actual teaching time. So they have to do a lot of extra work, take grading home and things like that. They're on their feet a lot. And both professions involve a lot of caring about and for other people. So I just think that's an interesting side note. Tell me in the comments if you are any of those professions and if you're like, yeah, that makes so much sense for us. So your LH improving is good, but you also need to look at your estrogen and FSH. But at the same time, we use less lab work and we use more fertility awareness charting. So you've provided details of like you used to have a really good menstrual cycle, bleed length, luteal phase length, follicular phase length, but now that has changed. So with your job and your restrictions and then exercising on top of it, you are just clearly not eating enough to support all of that. And you want to not have to do more because it's easier not to for many reasons. But the thing is, we have to work hard for what our bodies want. And if our body is saying we need more to support this lifestyle, then you're going to have to provide it with more to support that lifestyle. And that is advice that goes for everybody. You do not get to tell your body what it is going to be capable of on the amount of food you're going to give it. If you're going to have a crazy job, you don't get to also tell it to perform that on nothing, right? So on the other side of the spectrum, if you're just like, I'm going to die on this hill that I don't want to eat much at all, well, then you're going to have to set up your life to support that, meaning no job, you sit around all day, you just meditate all the time, and maybe you'll get away with it. But for everyone else having a normal life with expectations and responsibilities and blah, 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 you're going to have to support your body to meet that and not the other way around. All right. Question number 2 comes from Megan. Hey, I've been listening to your podcast. I'm still in my recovery journey, and I currently get light periods thanks to being on birth control. However, I find truly going, quote, all in challenging because I constantly compare myself to my husband. I hate the idea of eating more and exercising less than him, and I have an embedded fear of ending up larger than him. I know this is illogical, but it still inhibits my motivations at times. I'm not sure if maybe I need to see a therapist to deal with these thoughts or what the best course of action would be. Okay, so Megan, this is so relatable, so I loved choosing this question. I think a lot of girls agree that watching their boyfriends or husbands or whatever eat more than us is great, is like greatly difficult and triggering sometimes. You need to remind yourself each and every time this comes up for you that like this is Delulu, right? So if you have a specific problem with this, we need to be journaling. We need a lot of self-talk. You cannot go about your day every day allowing those thoughts to come up that are irrational and illogical and then just like not doing anything to counter it, right? Like we can't be making no mental and psychological changes and expecting our mental and psychological state to change. So when I would deal with things like this, I would write down in my journal, here's the things I ate today and here's how it made me feel, or like I was comparing it to so-and-so, but I know that A, I am a woman, and B, I have specific needs right now and I'm working towards this goal and that goal. And just because somebody is eating differently to me doesn't necessarily mean they're any healthier than me, and so on and so forth. I've started eating more and put a little bit of weight on and started to address my eating disorder mindset and habits. A long way to go, but still a start toward a better mental health. I wanted to come in for an update. I've had a bleed for the last 2 months now. Woohoo! Only the last bleed lasted about 10 days each time, with 4 days of heavy bleeding and the rest light. And then the last month of my cycle was around 30 days, where I bled for 10 days and stopped for 5 days, and then bled heavily for another 5 days. I started getting cystic acne around the days of suspected ovulation as well. Do you have advice on what might be going on? Do I need to keep going with the weight gain and hope it balances out my hormones? Okay, I almost need to reread this. You guys probably do too. 2 months of cycles. The last bleed was 10 days. The bleed lasted 10 days, both times, with 4 days was heavy and the rest was quite light, okay? And then the last month was around 30 days where she bled for 10 days and stopped for 5 and then bled again. Yeah, okay. So that's actually unusual. That's not really a pattern that we're gonna see a lot in the HA space. So if you get your period, it's possible to get your period back and then have other menstrual cycle issues come up. And sometimes it's hard to determine, are we looking at low hormone function or high hormone, like elevated hormone function? Because I think that what happened here is when we're not producing enough hormones, we won't always have enough antagonistic or protagonistic or opposing hormones to create that quote balance we're talking about. So for example, you could produce some estrogen but not enough progesterone, so it actually still presents as high estrogen symptoms. You know what I mean? However, in your case, Emily, it sounds like you're having a lot of bleeding, and with some of it being heavy, your next step would actually be to go and get some lab work done to make sure you're not now seeing some bizarre high estrogen dominance issues. Your cycle lengths are not suggesting PCOS, right? Because your cycle lengths are not very long, which is generally a sign of PCOS, but it doesn't mean you're not on that spectrum or moving towards that. So next bleed, day 3 of your bleed, I would go and get your labs drawn, estrogen, LH, FSH, and progesterone, and just see how those look. Yeah, that's probably my advice for you, just to make sure you're not seeing anything with that. If everything comes back totally normal, it could be a matter of time for you. I'm not necessarily leaning towards, oh, you definitely need to be gaining weight for this issue. That's not presenting itself initially to me. But there might be some other kind of mineral imbalance going on for you that's causing something like that. It is also possible that, your progesterone is just too low. So we want to test all of these things. You could even get labs done on day 3 of your bleed, and then labs done on day 3 of your ovulation, just to test both of those things, make sure everything looks in line. But it, all in all as well, and this is where what I would do for myself, I never panic. It has only been 2 months. You are new to recovery and cycling. While that's not exactly what you would expect to see, you can also trust your body. You can choose to trust your body first, and that it's going to resolve this if you keep trucking along. So do wait it out and see if, as you make lifestyle changes, that improves. And if not, go get the labs and just patiently chip away at the problem. Hope that helps. Thanks guys for listening to today. If you have a question you want to submit to the show, please do. dani@thehasociety.com, or shoot me some Instagram questions at Dani Sheriff, and I will answer you guys soon. Bye.